Nerd Talk is brought to you by nerds like you and WPMD, where people make a difference.
The opinions on Nerd Talk Radio are solely those of enthusiastic nerds. Do not listen if you're faint of heart. You have been warned.
Welcome to Nerd Talk. I am German, the film guy.
And I'm Blake, the marvelous superfan.
And I'm Devin, the marvelous DC superfan.
What? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You sitting me next to this fat lover?
Look, go hop on Iron Man's just like the rest of you Marvel fanboys.
Guys, relax. This is a family show. And welcome to Nerd Talk Radio here at WPMD, the voice of Surreal's College. And today we're going to be talking about, what are we going to talk about? Well, actually, we are going to talk about the history of nerdism, or nerds in general, geeks and stuff like that. And also,
the growing insidious menace of nerd elitism in our culture.
Major problem.
All right. So, but I don't know. I don't want to take things too seriously. Let's like unwind. I'm gonna take 5 minutes to check my emails. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
All right. Actually,
what's going on in your life, Devin?
Well, we always take like a 5-minute intro to kind of discuss what's going on in our week per se. And this week, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been going on, but one specific thing that I definitely want to share with you guys is the new trailer for the Avengers. I don't know if you guys saw it yet.
I haven't.
David has. He threw up the double sign. So you
I
can't
do
see
double
it on
signs
the
because I
radio,
want to see it, but I did hear it was up. I haven't had a chance to see it myself.
Well, it's basically, like any other trailer, you have the same stuff that you see from previous trailers. The only difference is that they actually added vision.
The vision.
The vision of vision.
Vision's vision. What I mean is that they show his eyes and face at the end of the trailer, which is kind of like a given to any trailers. Like, oh, let's show you some of the stuff we've already shown you, get you excited, but wisdom. Oh, not wisdom, vision.
Jesus, Herman.
But that's pretty much what they did, and that's what got me excited this week. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys have for me?
I don't know. I want to revisit last week's episode because you said because you made a really interesting assertion that Johnny Five, that movie, Short Circuit.
Short Circuit, yes.
A ripoff of what?
Chappie.
Chappie.
That's correct.
I don't know. What's your
wait.
reasoning?
Don't you mean that backwards? Like Chappie's a ripoff of...
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Reverse it. That's
Jeez,
correct.
Details.
Sorry, guys. We're missing coffee.
What's your reasoning, man? I mean,
the only reason...
the robots, sure.
No. It's not so much as the plot points, from what I understand. The thing is, I can't really... from the trailer, I can only suggest that it's a ripoff because the character Chappie says that he's alive and he's a robot. He's not just a robot, he's a militarized robot, from my understanding. And that's what Short Circuit was. He was a robot who was militarized, and he somehow gained Sentinelism.
He was hit by a thunderbolt.
Yeah, the thunderbolt. So it follows those plot points.
But, I don't know. Wouldn't Terminator 2, the T-800, also be a ripoff?
Yeah, but the T-800 was reprogrammed by Skynet.
No, but he's also reprogrammed by the humans to start thinking.
That is correct. Here's the only difference, though. It's from what I understand, the Terminator is not a essential plot point in terms of getting the story going. What I mean is the story in Short Circuit is basically it follows the robot, and it seems we won't know until we see the movie itself. Follows the robot himself as well, but we have yet to know. Terminator, unfortunately, doesn't really follow the robot until Terminator 2, I want to say.
No, that's what I meant. Terminator 2.
I
said Terminator 2.
Yeah. Terminator 2. Yeah. So, you could kind of say that. It does follow it, but not to the point where the robot admits it's alive and has feelings and it wants to hug you.
Okay, so...
That's the only thing.
Okay, so Terminator 2 is a ripoff of... Chappie's ripoff of Terminator 2.
I actually want to go back.
Okay.
I actually want to go back and say that Terminator 2 is a ripoff of Westworld. Or actually, no, Terminator 1. I'm sorry. Reverse that. You see too many Terminators. And Genesis is a ripoff of the first one.
Genesis is a ripoff of
the first Terminator. Let's go with that. Anyways,
then if that's the case,
like
we're
a
following.
version.
Jurassic Park is a ripoff of The Land Before Time. We're just gonna go with that.
Yeah, you could really argue some pretty mundane stuff here, but anything
like everything's like a ripoff of something. I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
So
who else has anything to say here?
WonderCon tickets. Yes,
that is correct. I'm actually gonna go, but as a vendor.
WonderCon, for those of you who don't know, April 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Tickets are already on sale. If you guys want to reserve a hotel, that's also up too. Yes, you will definitely see me there walking around. Green Arrow costume, more than likely, of course. I don't know. Are you going, Devin?
I do not have tickets. This is actually the first time hearing of WonderCon being thrown around.
No.
I don't have nerd enough friends. I need new ones.
Oh, those are replaceable. Get tickets.
Exactly.
Get tickets.
It's like just take them out to the middle of nowhere, dump them. It's like getting new friends.
Like, why are you going now?
Anyway, so is that it, you guys? Anything else you want to add to this beautiful conversation?
I think we're all right, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
usually
get right onto it.
Usually one apiece is good, and we don't want to extend it too much on it. But anyways, let's go on to nerd history. And for you guys who don't know, we are nerds, but that's the thing. What is a nerd?
Such a lovely title.
Oh, okay. Devin actually brought up something that I actually did see myself, but I can't see because...
I figured let's start at the very beginning.
He's actually, let's...
Long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Take care of it. Take care of it. Tell us where did it start off in?
Okay, let's see. The first documented use of the word nerd is in the 1950 Dr. Seuss story, If I Ran the Zoo, in which a boy named Gerald McGrew made a large number of delightfully extravagant claims as to what he would do if he were in charge of the zoo. Among these was that he would bring a creature known as a nerd from the land of Cartrue. The accompanying illustration shows grumpy humanoid sideburns wearing a black... hold on. Humanoid with unruly hair and sideburns wearing a black t-shirt, fitting image these days for a nerd.
Yeah, so back in the days, we were sideburn creatures of Dr. Seuss.
My great-grandpappy was one of those.
Yeah, no, this is pretty strange because I actually saw the website Devin's looking at, and I did get a look of the word nerd, and it's funny because there's different... That's initially the start of the word nerd being introduced to the populace.
I mean, obviously, nerds have been around since the dawn of time.
Yeah, I mean, even when is do you have a date on this, Dr. Seuss? But I'm just curious because I want to know what. It's like 50s, right? The 50s. Yeah. So we had Batman, we had Superman back in the day. The only problem with that is that when that first started off, it was more meant for kids, or at least the population.
It was aimed at kids, but in the end, the older generations ended up picking up more.
Yeah, that's true. So it was meant to be for kids. That was the mindset too. People were like, "Oh, that's for kids. Why would you want to read that? It's kids stuff." You don't see a guy in underwear flying. Technically he wasn't flying at first. He was jumping.
He was jumping a lot.
Yeah, so but
then lazy writers.
Lazy writers.
But actually, there was something else that I read in there. Something about the KNURD pronunciation of nerd or something. Knerd. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled KRUND, which has the NURD, which is kind of like saying nerd, but knerd. I believe it was kind of an insult, suggesting that you were uncool and you wouldn't get drunk with us. I don't know if you see the meaning backwards there. Drunk, knerd, drunk. Anybody catching on?
Oh, you were so fun.
No, I mean, anybody catching on that?
Yes,
so,
I got that.
Even off the bat, this word was meant to be a kind of like derogative of somebody who's uncool and would not get drunk with us. Which is kind of...
We totally would, though.
It's kind of funny when you think about it, though. Because I don't know if you guys have any other examples of this situation.
Well, it says here on this here smartphone that all these kids keep talking about nowadays. The second alleged occurrence was cited for a time... Okay, never mind. It was removed. But it says here that there was actually from a Jean Harlow movie called Dinner at 8, where it was used as a nerd as an exclamation.
Exclamation, huh?
But it was deleted, so I don't actually know the veracity of this.
Okay. So
there you go. Check it yourself.
If any of you guys on our Facebook page or anything, you guys find out, feel free to tag us on that. We'd love to read it.
And the correct pronunciation. Are we like... Were we supposed to say knerd this entire time?
I don't know how to pronounce it. I just know how to spell it because I want to say nerd. You see, I can't say it. Knerd. This just sounds like it's going to say that.
We're going to need to rename ourselves Knerd Talk?
Knerd Talk.
I don't think I'm down with that.
Anyway, so that's kind of a small history. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a detailed history. Like, for instance, I wanted to talk about George Lucas. Because it kind of goes into what I want to talk about a little bit later after this, about how we got started liking nerd or nerdism or stuff that is nerdy. So George Lucas, he's a gentleman who makes a little-known film, Star Wars.
It's an independent film, right? It's my first time hearing about it.
We've heard of it.
So the thing with this is not so much that movie per se, but in terms of culture, he brought something that not everybody, you know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, when he made the film, not only did he brought, you know, pretty nerdy stuff into the sight line or whatever, he brought on toys. Toys.
Collectibles.
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say with these toys. These toys basically is one of the reasons why there's so much nerdy stuff out there.
Because he's the one that found the market, you know, that
Yes,
says we could sell to these people now.
Yeah, I want to say he's one of the reasons why there's a market for nerds.
Their toy line.
If basically it wasn't for that, I believe that there wouldn't be a market for nerds. People, like, businesses wouldn't be like, oh, who cares about the nerds? We don't want to make anything. Nobody's going to buy them. But I think he single-handedly created a market for nerds to be popular. I don't know if that's something you guys would agree with me.
Well, I think that Star Wars is the importance of that is that he made nerds, you know, accessible. It was sexy, you know. It was traditional, like, cowboys, you know.
That's true.
Versus the evil empire, I guess.
That's very true. I mean, there's probably other examples, but at the same time, there's so many examples that I can't just pinpoint everything at the moment until we have like a week of discussion for this.
The week of nerd.
We're gonna be doing like 24/7, you know, nonstop. We're gonna smell really bad.
Yeah, trying to figure this out. But, you know, with that, I actually want to segue into what was our first, you know, experience with nerd culture and nerd anything. And I guess I should start since I already pointed that out.
You brought it up.
Star Wars.
Finish it.
Star Wars. I was a kid. Actually, I could say I could go back a little bit and suggest other things, but it wasn't until Star Wars that I truly understood what nerd or nerdism was. It wasn't, you know, until I started seeing Yoda and Luke Skywalker doing their lightsaber thing, and I was like, I want to be like that. I think that was the first time where I became a nerd.
Hey, what about that resonated with you? I mean,
What was that?
what about that resonated with you?
I don't know. That's the thing. As a kid, I didn't know. I just knew it made me happy. And it wasn't until later on.
I
where
wish
I'm
my
like,
father was a robot.
No, exactly. But it wasn't until later on that I'm like, there's a bunch of hairy adult men who love this stuff.
They're called Wookiees, dude.
They have a name. That's rude.
And then I decided, you know what? This is for me. You know, I got to be part of this.
I'm gonna be that hairy adult.
Yeah, I want to be that hairy. But it wasn't. But here's the thing: it doesn't just land on stuff like Star Wars to be a nerd. What I mean is, I liked films like The Karate Kid. I liked films like Short Circuit. I liked Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And the reason why I like them is because they're quirky little cult films, which people like me like them. But I don't know. Nerdism is really strange. It's very not liquidy, but fluid. Like, it doesn't just take shape into one thing. It takes shape into many things.
So it seems like we've pinpointed Star Wars as like the epicenter
of your nerdacity.
I think a lot. I think that's where it triggered in my mind. Like, there's a thing called nerds.
It was like a bomb that went off
geeks?
that turned everybody.
Yeah, exactly. What do you? Oh, I forgot to mention earlier. Blake is not with us at the moment. He did leave us a little voice recording for you guys to hear, and I actually wouldn't mind playing it for you guys.
Over.
And here's Blake. He's at the moment. He's far away. He's
far
he's
away.
protecting a very holy cat, and you know that's his story. Don't judge him.
Holy cat, Batman.
Yeah, holy cat, Batman. But here he is.
One of my earliest memories as a nerd is when I was in second or third grade, and it was around the time Star Wars Episode 1 came out. And my college-aged sister actually got me out of school so I could go see it with her and her friends. And all I can remember is like how awesome it is that my cool older sister who introduced me to Star Wars was taking me to see the new Star Wars movie. And I remember waiting in line for the first showing of that day, And my sister got me this pretzel wrapped hot dog with mustard that I got all over my shirt. And I was like, oh, I got mustard on my shirt, but I don't care. I'm seeing Star Wars. Of course, looking back on it as an adult, I realized that movie was, well, awful. But even though how bad that movie was, I'll always have just that sweet memory of my sister getting me a hot dog and taking me to see a movie.
No.
And I actually have another memory that's even earlier. I had to be like 3 or 4 years old, and I remember wrapping a towel around my neck and running out to my mom, shouting, "Look, Mom, I'm Batman, I'm Batman!" And my older brother...
Yeah, it got cut out. I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
Oh,
I didn't
no.
realize that it was playing on
Even
a
nerds
folder.
have 'em.
But hey, you know what? Sorry, Blake, but the story goes is that he actually had a towel around his neck and he was yelling, "I'm Batman!" I actually imagine.
Did he use the voice?
No. This is
Damn.
We can only assume so.
This is pre Batman
Bale.
Bale. So
Yeah.
I would assume he was.
Adam West, Batman?
No.
Keaton?
Maybe Keaton. Probably Keaton.
Clooney.
I actually had an experience like that. I had a Dracula, like this old, like Dracula costume. Like I just took the cape and just pretended I was Batman.
I think we all had an experience like that. If it's either Batman
Batman or Star Wars seems.
or
The
no,
episode.
not Star Wars. I think I put on a fake cape and I was thinking I was Superman at one point. I think I was Superman at one point. I always wore glasses, so I guess I kind of associated with him a little bit more than Batman.
So, David, what about your first nerdy experience? Since we're on
Mine's goes back to probably when I was like 4 years old. My mom used to do, what's that thing called?
Yoga.
Scrapbooking. No,
Okay.
she wishes. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. Damn. She did scrapbooking, and we were there, and obviously I couldn't be around the area because they had scissors and stuff. So the lady goes, yeah, I was a menace. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, because let me stop you right there. The one thing that came into mind is don't run with scissors. Was that something you were doing, running with scissors?
Running with them, I was like throwing them.
Man, you're the reason why they had all those
Safety things.
messages.
Yeah, well, regardless, they sat me down because they didn't want us around the area with the hot glue and whatnot, and they put on Back to the Future.
Ooh.
And I remember sitting down, I'm like, okay, Back to the Future. And it was so cool. And I remember my mom stopped doing scrapbooking after a while. Every time I went, I would watch Back to the Future Part 1. Up until middle school, I kind of didn't watch it. And middle school, I was screwing up a lot. And I remember we were going on this trip thing, and my mom goes, I'll either give you the money for the trip, or I'll give you the money to spend on whatever you want. We were at Best Buy. I bought the Back to the Future trilogy.
Nice.
And I sat down to watch Back to the Future again, like for the millionth time. And the message that it says at the end of Back to the Future Part 3, and I quote, "Your future isn't written, no one's is. Your future is whatever you make of it." Not only did that resonate with me as a message from something I loved, it resonated with me as a person. That's really what got me through school, that one little message. I did graduate out of high school with top of my class, actually, which was really cool. And they asked me, well, do you have any message? Watch Back to the Future Part 3. To this day, I still love Back to the Future. I live by the code of Back to the Future.
Oh, nice. Which is no fate but what we make.
Damn it. Back to Terminator.
Let's see. I don't know. Mine, I never really felt like a nerd because I always felt that everything that I liked was cool, and it was always Terminator, Star Wars.
Terminator.
I liked comic books, and it was Constantine, Batman, so... I never really felt like an outcast or anything because,
It's just cause.
I never had that experience, that nerd outsiderness.
Well, that's good that you're mentioning that because it's something that I wanted to kind of dwell into. I know you mentioned something about the 80s that I kind of want you to discuss a little bit before we get into. But hey, why not? Let me just put this in there just because I already started saying it, is that it feels like lately the word nerd or people who are considered nerds or geeks, they're no longer outcasts. In fact, they're becoming cool, like you were mentioning. I don't know if it's something you guys feel.
I'm sorry?
I don't know if that's something you guys feel.
Personally, not at all. I mean, this is definitely going to tie into that topic of nerd elitism. But you see, throughout middle school, I guess you could say back in my day, but it was during the time when being a nerd was a bad thing. I mean, they'd easily jump you for pulling out, Yu-Gi-Oh cards or a toy in front of people because they're like, oh, that's not cool. And now with time, it's like, oh, being a nerd is cool. You're not a real nerd. I was a nerd when it got you bruises still. You know? That probably ties in a little bit to the whole nerd elitism thing.
Yeah, we're going to have to explore that in a little bit.
Definitely.
So, yeah, but I don't know. You've probably watched Revenge of the Nerd, German.
Oh,
more than anybody.
Religiously. Like 20. I have the DVDs in my set. I've actually studied it to a point where I've been to a college for just watching Revenge of the Nerds. I've been a few years and I forgot everything about it, just like real life. You forget everything you learned in college.
All right, so basically, if I were to take the movies, though, from the 80s, you know, Revenge of the Nerds and the like, you know, is that nerds nerds were just, you know, kind of like the Dr. Seuss thing, just like the outcast, the grungy, you know, unlovable, you know, just creature, you know, not even a man, just, or a woman, just, you know, a monster, a hideous monstrosity of human nature, an abomination.
Yeah, let's cover that, by the way.
That's pretty extreme, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
You were free. They were like Nazis. You could beat them up. No, that's pretty much it for the Nazis. Nerds, the only similarity.
I really
between
don't
nerds and
know.
Nazis.
Man, by the
That's
way,
an accurate
German,
thing.
make sure you cover that. Don't let anyone tell you that a girl cannot be a gamer or that a guy cannot make clothing. Whatever you're into, whatever gender.
We could totally bring that up during the next one, Fate Nerd Girls, because there
I'm
is a weird
throwing
thing
that
about like calling them out. So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
remember. So yeah, I mean,
We were talking about the 80s, more or less.
I'm so sorry.
80s, yes, beating up. Lost my train of thought. German, go ahead.
All right. Well, if I can remember correctly, the 80s were a pinpoint or some. It had a lot of films that in terms of films in general, because I'm a film guy, so I did watch a lot of 80s film. That's when I was around, the 80s. That tells you how old I am. I'm very old, is what I'm trying to say. But that was a time when I watched a lot of films as a kid. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Batman, and I don't know, something about these. Oh, Ghostbusters. Cannot go wrong with Ghostbusters. Something about those films back in the 80s changed in terms of, because a few years ago, a lot of the films weren't considered quote-unquote nerdy in the sense that we would consider them nerdy. Like, for instance, Star Wars. I mean, you had Star Trek in the 70s, but it wasn't...
Star Wars
it was very
superior.
It was nerdy, but it wasn't for everybody. It felt like it was specifically for somebody. But Star Wars
for the like.
It was for the science fiction fans.
Yeah.
Like more than that, I think it was designed to be like an instruction manual on how to live your life. You know, like what happens when you get past like the baser human instincts that, you know, of our current society and move forward.
That's correct.
And not only just like not care about, you know, people's differences, but actually try and celebrate them and actually be delighted.
Wow, I just got hit by an emotional
like
bomb.
right, like if you can get past like all the capitalism, the money, you know, just the competing and just like try to work as one, then.
But here's the thing: that's not everybody's cup of tea.
No, it's not. Sometimes we want death and destruction. That's why we got Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, you got Star Wars. We got the Goonies. Is that an 80s? Yeah, that's an 80s film. The Goonies. You name it. You got something from the 80s that was very nerdy in terms of our standards. Or maybe I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, and today's kids don't even care about the 80s and are not aware of what nerdiness is.
Were those movies as popular back then as quote-unquote nerd movies are nowadays?
I would assume they would be.
Because I know they're cult classics now, but I don't know if they were well received.
I mean,
popular.
if we had to like take on the subject of were 80s films popular in terms of money, maybe there probably was a little, you know, profit. Like for instance, Ghostbusters were probably very profitable just based on what I've seen. I'm pretty sure those are those films that did not make a single dime in terms of making back what they actually what it cost to make the film, and later on they're like, oh man, this was so bad that it was actually good, which reminds me of that one film with the kids who were fighting off monsters. I don't know if you remember that film.
Oh, it was like
and they swore a lot, and Monster Squad. Yeah,
or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but with kids.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
No, Monster Squad.
Oh no, I don't care about that.
No, you should care because it's not. I don't consider it a nerdy movie, but it's there in terms of like it's very nerdy.
It's like something horrible, you know. You have to like study it to make sure that humanity doesn't repeat itself again. It's one of those things.
That is
like
correct.
The dangers of repeating history.
All right, so I know you probably don't remember anything you want to mention about the 80s, but anything else about nerdism, like Comic-Con, all that stuff that's just suddenly came about recently? Well, not recently. I mean, Comic-Con.
Comic-Con's been around since the 80s, hasn't it?
It's been around for
been
a
a
long
while.
time, but
It just suddenly got incredibly popular. Another,
Another thing we could tie into the whole nerd elitism thing, actually.
that's
let's
true.
save it for the next part of the show, man.
We will, we'll get there. But something that I wanted to talk about Comic-Con is that it started off as a simple little, convention for comics, for nerd comic people, and for people just like
Our brethren.
comics. Yeah, and the funny part is that I know there was a documentary recently with the guy who made Super Size Me, I can't pronounce
Morgan
it.
Spurlock.
Merlin Spurlock. He actually
Say
went
Merlin
to
Spurlock?
Merlin Spurlock. Yeah, he went to Comic-Con, and he just took he just shot a documentary about the situation now, and he took some interesting subjects, some people who would talk about Comic-Con in different ways. One thing he mentioned is the past and how it changed into the future. And one thing that he mentioned, he talked to one specific guy, and he mentioned that the good old days of comics, this used to be about comics. Nowadays, they're kind of like just in a hole in the wall, and nobody gives a rat's butt about them. I don't know if you know what I'm saying about when it comes to that. Like, basically, Comic-Con is no longer about comics. In fact, the guys who go out there and sell comics are literally stuck in a wall, hidden somewhere, and nobody really
Not
cares
the biggest
about them.
ones. I mean, the biggest vendors are usually the guys that have
Shirts.
six, 7 tables of comics,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they make good bank off of that.
Actually, that might not be as true.
Well, I mean, you never noticed. For those of you that have been to conventions, and for those of you that haven't, I'll cover it a little bit. If you go into a convention hall, it's huge. You're looking at, a huge room with people selling stuff left and right. Now, the thing about comic book vendors, they're very scattered out, but usually the guys with the most merchandise, you can find them along the main aisles. And these guys they don't have like a few boxes. They literally have a good 80% of their store there, at least equal to it.
Okay.
But I can
cool.
agree with what Jim.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That means that we're in the center of our show. That means we have to move on, guys.
Oh,
I actually wanted to test that out, see if it surprised you guys.
that scared. That hurt me and scared
Dude,
me.
I need to go change my pants.
All right, guys. So we have to do our nerd PSA for today. And unfortunately, I didn't have anything lined up, so I'm going to read the first one that's actually in front of me. And actually, it does go along with what, nerd culture is in the past, where it was a bullying, basically people would bully nerds in general. So I have a PSA, and I'll call it Nerd PSA number 39. So here we go. Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. There are safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Teach your kids the 5 bystander tips. Number 1, tell a trusted adult, like a family member, a teacher, or a coach. Number 2, help the person being bullied get away from the situation. Number 3, be a friend to the person being bullied. Number 4, set a good example. Do not bully others. Number 5, don't give bullying an audience. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn more safe, simple ways your child can be more than a bystander. A message from the Ad Council. Which is kind of cool. Okay, that's the end of the PSA. Which is kind of cool because this kind of goes along with the whole thing we're going to talk about next, which is elitism in the nerd culture.
Yes, finally, it was in the 80s, and, nerds were being bullied. People didn't get them. Now we get to today where people get them. And now roles are reversed. We're the bullies now, so.
Well,
Are we the bullies?
Not us personally,
Oh.
but
that's
our culture.
That's a very interesting topic.
I
Right
have a theory on it, though. I think that, like back in the day, it used to be like strength, jockishness, or, being able to lift a lot of things, being able to work at a factory. Physical prowess actually meant you made money until, 90s,
Until
thousands
later
happened.
on, where the mind, the
Where
technology,
you have computers and you have smart people, being recognized for shaping the world, and now it became important, like on a Darwinistic level, to be, to be
Oh,
smart,
so-
have things going on.
so
And so
ba-
that's how the rules reverse in a way.
Okay,
Because
so
American manufacturing, at least for consumable products,
So basically, I kind of get where you're trying to go at here. Basically, it's simple as, where's the money at? And if you're not making that money, you're gonna be bullied. But now that the nerds are making that money, it's
now
like,
they spend their money on on entertainment, and so they get the comic book movies every.
oh,
I mean, and they also spend it on merchandise. They spend it.
on everything.
So we have the money now. So we control the mainstream in a way.
Anyway, so
For
I know you wrote something, Devin, about this a while ago.
I wrote a lot of things.
But what specifically did you write about elitism? It was an article on Nerd Talk Radio that you wrote about, and you shared it with me actually.
I did. Let's see. I don't know. I talked about. Well, yeah, pretty much that. I talked about how there's a certain sect who, you have a. All right, let me go back. Nerd culture is very diverse. You have people who are interested and they want to join, but then you have this other sect who they feel that they've been in the nerd game for so long. They have the nerd scars to prove it, and they want to weed out the gene pool of nerds. They want to call out fake nerds and want to keep them out, and keep their group exclusive.
If I may expand on that one a little, you guys, you know how I just told you that you would get picked on a lot.
Yeah.
Like you said, nerd scars. I think it's not so much of popularity. It's just some people we loved certain things growing up. Back to the Future, Yu-Gi-Oh, Bionicle, Legos, whatever, and we love these things. And people treat us like trash because we like these things. Now that the tables have turned, people are like, oh well, I want to no. You pushed us, and now you're trying to come in. It's you can see where both sides are coming from. But the fact that of the whole nerd elitism, that's too far. I mean, by all means, personally, I think, oh, you're a nerd too? That's great. I can talk to you on this level. I don't think people should push away a nerd. If anything, encourage them to get into things. Oh, yeah, totally,
because the more nerds there are, the more stuff we can ultimately buy and watch.
And like
on Facebook.
Yeah, the funny thing is I want to say I understand what you guys are saying, but at the same time, I feel like I'm confusing certain things in terms of nerd elitism.
What's your understanding?
What I'm saying is, I want to try to put in a scenario here. And I'm going to go back to George Lucas. And trust me, this will somewhat make sense. Is it fair for us to be complaining that he wants to do certain way of... what I mean is, when he made the last 3 films, and then he wanted to redo his films, is it fair for us to complain a lot and
Devin,
tell him not to change them? Is that an unfortunate way? Is that an unfortunate example of elitism?
No, but
yeah, okay. Just because I'm just saying, where does elitism begin, and it's hard to define it, because it sounds like to me it's like okay, we share a culture for something we like, but you over there, you are a pretender. You don't know anything. You don't even know the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. Be away,
Be away.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that what nerd elitism is?
Yeah, kind of just dismissing other people just because they don't like like the same comics, or maybe they don't read as much, or maybe they don't play a certain game, as much. And it takes some weird turns, as David was saying earlier about fake nerd girls and how people have started outing them on the internet.
Yeah, that's a little too far.
Would you like to expand on that? Or?
Actually, I spoke to... There is a page of cosplayers, and I did, for Nerd Talk, I believe...
That is another big issue about elite nerdism. That is correct right there, sir.
Well,
Open up a can of whoops
I did talk to them after... it was supposed to go up on Nerd Talk. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But they ended up making a video of it. If you go, I believe the page is called Scruffy Rebel. I've met her. She makes some amazing Star Wars cosplays. They made a documentary on this, and it does go back to the whole we were the underdogs thing. You see, now that we're on the up and up, people are like, oh, you're not real. And now the whole thing that girls can't be cosplayers or can't be nerds. You guys can check that video out. It's probably best if you guys look at it yourself. It's an amazing video on how elitism doesn't only affect the people who want to become nerds, who are just on the outside going, oh, hey, that looks pretty cool. It's also affecting the people on the inside, too. I mean, on a personal note, I went to a convention a while back dressed as Green Arrow.
Of course.
Was this? I think I remember the first time you did it, and that was when I went with you to AX.
That was AX. That was our first.
That was your first
on the spot convention.
I remember you went and you got a custom made face thing.
That was a Kamikaze, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
I think that was Kamikaze.
I think that was the first time you cosplay as that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pinpoint which one it probably was.
It was that one.
Okay.
I did have some people saying, "You're not dressed as Green Arrow," because they are under the assumption that Green Arrow is the old Robin Hood looking guy. I'm like, no, this is the one from the new comic. Oh, that's not a real Green Arrow. It's not your Green Arrow, correct? It's mine. It is from what I know as Green Arrow. It probably has to do with just the grounds that you grew up on personally, or what you believe is right.
Yeah, so they tried to take your nerd badge. You know,
Yeah,
just
they tried
because,
to. They failed miserably.
Because you killed them
They have
with
failed
your
the
arrows.
city.
All right. I actually will admit to this. I have been a elitist in the sense that what you described right now is exactly what I've done. And believe me, this is kind of funny because I don't know if I should admit to this.
German, no.
I've been an elitist. And can you guess what it was? It's nothing that you could probably guess at the moment.
Star Wars.
No. It was none of those.
George Lucas.
No. It
Terminator.
was actually okay.
Yoda, Jedi.
You guys are just gonna keep on guessing, and it's not gonna go anywhere. I was actually an elitist for My Little Pony.
What?
My Little Pony.
Oh, he's a brony.
No.
Oh, you're a brony?
No, not that kind of brony. You see, this is where I'm going at.
Oh.
I don't consider myself a brony because I love the original stuff, the one where it was dark and bad and evil.
Wait, what?
And then yeah, there was a time where there was a My Little Pony. There was a 30-minute movie, and it was great because it was dark, evil, and it had little cute ponies.
How could you have like a dark story about ponies?
Well, because that was cool back then. Anyways, I remember watching My Little Pony when I was young. And then, you got this new one, and everybody's like, I'm a brony because I like the new stuff. And I'm just like, you see what I mean? I'm basically an elitist for My Little Pony, but should I admit to it? I don't know.
You see, that's the difference. It depends how you approach it.
But that's the thing, though. I am a little elitist. I cannot deny it.
Yeah,
you
that's the
basically
difference.
called me out.
You can either put the person down because, you don't like this My Little Pony.
That's the only thing. I don't put him down, but I still have that mentality.
Well, then you're not an elitist.
You're not real, man. Be gone from my culture.
It's funny,
you
though.
are banned from the land.
But it's funny, though, because in social psych, we study the schemas and also the stereotyping and then behavior. But what that means, schemas is pretty much a predetermined idea that you already have. Basically, you kind of you have a cognitive mindset that tells you to interpret something. Like it basically allows you to interpret something in a way that you probably grew up with. For instance, I grew up with My Little Pony of the past. I think that's the best one. So when I hear about the new ones, I'm like, oh, that one is probably not great because the original was way better. But that's where the attitude comes in and then the behavior. The problem is I don't actually have bad behaviors based on my attitudes or schemas. If you if you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. I have the attitude, but I'm not going based on the behaviors of my attitudes. So luckily, I'm one of those few who probably don't go beyond behavior, which is kind of cool when you think about it. So I'm an elitist, but I don't follow along. I don't become a nerd racist.
An elitist that doesn't follow along. That makes you the elite of the elitist. That makes you even more a bigger elitist.
Oh,
sir.
dang. My. I'm pretty
Evolution.
bad. I'm just saying, I will admit that I'm an elitist based on what you guys are describing, and this is something I just learned about myself.
Well, I think elitism, like just taking it back from nerd elitism, I think elitism is just a natural instinct, because back when I was a metalhead and, I was punk, metalhead, I was a bunch of things. In high school, you have, like, people trying to call out posers, like saying, oh, you don't know that band name, get out of...
Oh, my Lord.
I mean,
that's another thing,
it's
too.
It's a natural instinct of humans to get together and then hate on someone else.
Yeah, I think that's also because lately I've been listening to a lot of NPR, and there's a very new, great show that recently came out. It's called Invisibilia, and that's a shout out for you guys if you're listening. But
NPR,
it's a very
this is Nerd Talk.
but it's a very good show just because they talk about invisible concepts, so categories and stuff like that. And that's one of the things they talked about is that we tend to always want to go to the group that we associate the most. And we tend to want to hate anything that doesn't relate to us or doesn't belong into our cultural group. And I feel that's something that established with what you guys are saying.
And it also goes along with like the in-group, out-group,
Oh yeah,
bias.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like my group
My
is so
group's better.
unique and diverse. That group
diverse.
is bland, and I hate them.
That's what's happening with Star Wars and Star Trek. A lot.
The
Explain,
legendary war.
Explain yourself, sir.
Oh, it's I don't know the phenomena, but I get what they're doing. Basically, it's like you got a group here, Star Trek, and you got a group over here, Star Wars, and then both are like looking at each other. It's like, my Star Wars is better than your Star Trek, and then it's like my Picard could kick your Luke's butt anytime.
That's probably true, though.
Millennium Falcon's better.
You see, that's what happens. Somebody's going to say it's true, and then you got all this bashing, and then you got elitist attitudes, and then what if somebody wants to be like both, like me? I like Star Trek,
Please
I like Star
watch
Wars.
Fanboys, ladies and gentlemen. You will watch a lovely example of that there. Watch Fanboys.
I think like the elitism like really comes in when you have like diehard Star Trek fans.
Like,
then you have people who watched like the reboot movie from like 2009, I want to say.
yeah.
Then they get really excited about it. They want to learn more, and then the diehards just get resentful. And then
I just have a anecdotal form of elitism in my part.
okay.
I just realized this. The second one, Into Darkness. I watched it. I was like, it's a ripoff of Khan.
I guess.
It's not. But,
No.
But the first thought in my mind, it's not that great in comparison to, Wrath of Khan. And then my girlfriend's sister saw it, and she's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. And I'm just like...
He's doing the robot arms from Lost in Space.
And I'm just like, okay. And I'm just like, you have not lived. Can you imagine that? I was establishing elitist. I told her too, like, you have not lived. You got to see the original Wrath of Khan, because this one, while good, it's garbage comparison to original.
What you like is garbage, man.
But there you go. I'm like, why am I digging myself into a hole trying to prove that I'm an elitist? That's really wrong of me.
No, it's good. It's cathartic, man.
But
now we have a live example.
At the same time, it gives an example of how this stuff kind of works, and I'm more than willing to be that bad villain for you all to spite, but at the same time learn from.
Learn from German's terrible
But
example, children.
at the same time, it's true. I actually attributed elitist views, but I wasn't mean about it. But at the same time, I wanted to say, your opinion of it is kind of wrong.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, like especially like because the
Oh, by the way, I wanted to apologize to my girlfriend's sister. She's cool and all, but I'm just telling her
that what she
as a
likes is
story.
garbage.
No, I'm just apologizing on
garbage.
air because it's
You're
wrong
into
of me.
garbage.
It's
from Nerd Talk Radio.
But it's wrong of me to think this way. I don't know. Is that something we should learn?
Nerd Talk Radio officially hates German's girlfriend's sister.
Oh
thinks
my
it's gonna
God.
taste her
No.
I think that's the takeaway, right?
No.
I'm just skimming.
I'm just trying to say that it's wrong of me to think this way.
You see,
No.
to back you up, German, I do agree with you. Like, my thing of elitism goes back to Resident Evil. Resident Evil is an amazing game. I love Resident Evil. I will.
First three, man, forever.
The first three were amazing games.
Yeah.
For those of you that
Nemesis.
played them, you know that if you can beat them, you can literally sit in a chair, cross your legs, and say, I am a true gamer. Then, of course, Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, Operation Raccoon City, all these games came out, and they're not the same. You go from, Jesus, I have a bullet and 6 zombies, and I need to get to that door. How do I get there? To, look, bullets everywhere. Zombies
Bullets,
everywhere.
everybody.
Doors are open. You see the change, and people are like, oh my God, this is an amazing game. No, it's not. This is child's play. Resident Evil was a mind-grueling experiment.
Yeah, it was. It got you. It was for me. It was the first game that really got you into the horror, mentality, being in the horror movie. And then the rest were just kind of like action games to me.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, I do understand German on the whole elitism thing, because I will gladly stand and argue why Resident Evil 1, 0, Code Veronica are amazing games in comparison to 5 and 6, which are trash. Good story, but they're trash.
No, I'll back up German too. I think German's a very he does have elitist attitudes, but it's very tame. And I think we all harbor elitist attitudes. Like
it's just the behavior. We don't actually attribute the behavior. We somehow stop ourselves from being that bad, monstrous elitism that we see in a lot of
internet chat
rooms. Correct.
Yes, they I don't know, they have like a certain ideal, like I don't know, I guess Johnny Storm, was the recent one. People who grew up
that
on the
was horrible.
comics.
If you guys aren't aware, there's a new Fantastic Four coming out, and they're actually making Johnny Storm, who traditionally is a white character, and they're making him a black character, which I'm fine with, to be quite honest. But people took it to the internet.
A lot of racist words and
Yeah.
things you should not repeat on the radio. And and it's been like that for a while. Just Nick Fury. When they made him black, even though he was black in the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he was so cool.
Yeah.
Nick
I
Fury's
mean,
awesome,
at the
though.
same time, we did picture Samuel L. Jackson being himself.
And also, and it goes back to even to the 1989 Batman when Keaton first got the role. People had this idea of who Batman was, and it was not Keaton. So
that's correct. I remember correctly the stories, and I wasn't actually there because there was no internet back then. But there was a lot of chatter. They're like, "Oh no, how can a comedian do
how
Batman?"
could Mr. Mom do this?
Actually, he was. It was Mr. Mom. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Anyways, I could be wrong. But what I'm saying is, he wasn't known for his acting roles per serious comic book.
Yeah.
He was known for comedy, stand-up comedy. That didn't really resonate with people.
Yeah, and I think that why that didn't really take off is because there was no internet to kind of to coagulate that hate into one monster hate ball, that just spirals downward and explodes.
You mean like how they have for like the new Star Wars movies?
What
I
happened?
think we all universally hate that.
I don't. I loved Part 3. Part 3 was amazing.
Part 3 was okay.
It was the most acceptable out of the three. How's that?
I guess so. Yeah,
Okay.
I can
Yeah,
agree
definitely.
with that. But it killed it with the ending part, though.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, you guys ruined it. You had me going. You're like, oh man, this actually was kind of good until that part."
No, I was like, you know what? I'll still say this is okay, despite that ending.
That was a good movie. I liked it.
No, I agree. I can see why, and it was definitely complex.
Had the best lightsaber fight too.
That was pretty insane. Although there was like one point where they weren't even hitting each other anymore; they were just kind of twirling around.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's like they were battling each other to a lightsaber, dance off.
Oh, jeez. Anyways, going back to elitism, I actually want to go back and talk about cosplaying a little bit more.
Oh, yes.
Just because I feel that the ladies of cosplay have a huge bad rep.
Now, can I stop you just one moment?
Okay.
Is it pronounced cosplay or cosplay?
I actually say cosplay.
I believe it's cosplay.
No, just because I
Okay.
pronounce in Japanese, apparently.
Oh, I'm just going.
Okay, I just
cosplay.
wanted to get that clear.
Because okay, now to pause a bit. The thing is, ko, Japanese pronunciation, ko. So ka is ca for them. So I'm pronouncing it like a Japanese person might pronounce it. I'm not suggesting that that's how they pronounce it.
Think you're
I'm
better
just-
than me?
You see, elitism.
Elitist
right here.
swine.
You see, I'm doing it. I have a problem.
Why you do
guys.
this?
Thanks.
Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry, guys. I
It's all good.
apologize.
So you were saying about cosplaying, because this is a real issue, and we only got like 5 minutes left. So.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, we
Let's
do
get
have
to
5 minutes. Go ahead. You start off, man, because it seems like you have a lot to. Well, somebody had a lot to talk
Yeah,
about.
like I said, I was the documentary. I did speak to them about Scruffy Rebel. It should still be up on their page. It was an amazing video about how there's all this hate for girls because they're not the right weight, they're not the right color, they're not the right race. Who cares? If you love something, whether it's a video game, a movie, who cares what other people have in mind? You know what? Do you like it how it looks? Well, yeah, I worked hard on it. Then be proud of it.
Yeah.
Like, who cares if you're Asian Wonder Woman? Or who cares if you're a really short She-Hulk? Who cares? And by the way, this goes to guys, too, because I know guys get this, too. Oh,
Yeah.
you're not ripped to be, Captain America. Who cares? Enjoy what you do. Love what you do. Show it off.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially I know I got that with the whole Filipino thing, really resonated with me, because that seems to come out with, like the Filipino Superboy, Filipino Aquaman. It's like, I don't know, this is supposed to be fun. I mean, when did it become, work, of trying
Yes.
to keep authenticity? It's like, try to bring some new dimensions to these characters, make me see them in a different way. I would dig it. And it's like, if you're going to be Filipino Aquaman, be the best there is. I mean, really represent it.
Amen.
Filipino Aquaman. I'm not familiar with this cosplayer.
No, I'm just like picking random.
Oh, okay.
You know, because there was a Filipino Aquaman, but
Okay,
I'm sure the Filipinos played Aquaman a lot.
the reason why is because I actually saw online a while ago. I'm not sure who the person was, but he made different costumes with different materials, and I don't know if you guys seen him, but I know he was Asian, and he made like random costumes with ordinary things like a milk jug or something. He made like different characters. It's funny because initially, this is the kind of stuff that people would be like, "What are you wearing?" But it was so creative, and I was like, "You deserve a Citizen King clap." If you guys know what that is.
I do. I was born in the 90s.
So, anywho, you know, I fully enjoy cosplayers who
It's pronounced cosplayers.
who actually are very creative with their cosplaying. I actually enjoy specifically those who are not accurate but try. What I mean is, like, it almost feels like they did it as a joke, but they're proud of their joke, and I like that.
I love that confidence.
That's when they're confident. That's where I enjoy it the most. You know, like I don't know. I'm just saying. Sometimes you just cannot be an A, whatever, an A. And sometimes you just gotta accept them for who they are and what they are. You just can't, you know. You can't
And
make
give
fun
them
of these
props.
guys and give them props. Exactly.
But I digress because I really want to know why do you think there's this hatred of certain cosplayers?
It's the same. Personally, I believe it's the same hatred what we have for movies.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not
Accurate.
Anakin Skywalker.
Not accurate.
But
or-
it's a similar to it. Wouldn't you say that's a form of elitism? If we want to see Wonder Woman, we want to see this tall girl with black hair, beefed up, right? Same form of elitism? Yes? No? Yes?
beefed up.
And
Yeah, she's buff. She's pretty buff.
Yeah,
She cuts you.
but why women in particular though? I mean, it's because of that
Well,
nerds.
guys too. In general, cosplays.
But
We
it seems
want to
like
see
we
accurate.
But it seemed like we call out fake nerd girls more. I mean, it's like was it because like nerd girls weren't considered a part of nerd culture? Originally.
You could say that.
Is that our archetype?
German?
Actually, here's the thing. Social psych. We were actually talking about. We live in a world where men take. We actually live in a world where men are the ones in charge, and it's an unfortunate reality. Until men change. Look, I sound like a feminist right now, but when men change,
Teach class.
that's exactly when this hate for girls is going to stop. I'm not joking. This is actually true. This is something my social psych professor is saying. We live in a world where men are the ones in control, and we cannot deny that. But that's the thing. He's pointing it out. He's not trying to say yes, men rule the world. He's just saying this is the unfortunate reality we live in.
We need to take them down.
And it goes by the whole racism and persecution stuff. That's the fact of the matter. Men are the ones who make the rules, and that's unfortunate. And unless we change it, there won't be, persecution of nerdy girls, and I hate that.
So, any last thoughts, anybody?
I think that's it.
Who has something profound?
I like coffee.
Me too.
Anyways, so this is the end of the show. You guys will be hearing from us next week. If you have any questions, you could hit us up on our Nerd Talk page, which is facebook.com, Nerd Talk Radio. And also you could email us at nerdtalkradio at gmail.com.
Jinx.
And this is German, the film guy.
I'm Devin, the DC superfan.
And David, the comic book enthusiast. Why not? I keep switching it up. I think it was Gamer or something.
It's always changing, but hey, we're fine with it. You're a nerd.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We're
thank
all
you for
nerds.
listening, and we will talk to you guys next week.
May the force be with you.
Bye.
And live long and prosper.